where the shadow would fall. It's a technique of shading. In the past, we used to design the machine at Lakin, and it was cut to conform with our design, the shapes and sizes and everything. But these days, most of the new work that's made is the shape's already there. So when I design that, I design it to conform with their shape the best way I can. Usually get round it somehow or other. Probably you've seen that in Taylor's work, probably. I mean, those boards were shaped when I received them, so you can't put on what's not there or take off. So we conform to the shape of the board, but to bring it up to our old Lakin standard all the time.
Had a very deep influence on you Lakins, didn't it? It seems to have, because you always seem to keep referring to Lakins.
Well, that was the beginning and end of all as far as learning goes, to my mind. It was an institution, really. Anything new or anything that was clever or anything we saw was always developed there, you know. I mean, they were always on the ball kind of thing to get something new. And with the hours you worked, it was installed into you, really. And it wasn't all plain sailing. You had to do rough work with the smooth, which I think helped. Because it's not only what goes on top, it's what goes on underneath as well. That is why most of the customers are pleased with the way the work lasts. Because if you don't start with the right materials, it'll never last. And I always insist on that. And that's another Lakin institution. Mr. Lakin naturally asked me which side of the business I would like. Of course, it was decoration. And he escorted me up into the decorator's shop. Well, my first entry, it staggered me, really, with the work that was on show. And he said, "Would you like to learn this?" And with my tongue in my cheeks, well, I hope to learn it. I'll try. And he introduced me to the foreman and Mr. Hancock.
That was George Hancock. I think he's still alive, you know.
Now, Mr. Hancock is a very good sign writer and designer, and also a practical joker, if I might say.
Poor old Fred, you know, we had this terrible tongue trouble, you know. What it was.
One morning, when under the weather a bit, tummy ache, usual in youngsters, he said, "Oh, on lunch hour, he said, I'll bring back something to cure that.
Oh, he said, I've got a very thing, he said. Because he goes back home, he had this black pudding or something, and he rolled it in his fingernails, that. All the dirt has fingernails, he rolled it into a pill, you see. So he gave it old Fred. That's Fred Fowle, you know.
So when he returned from lunch, he produced a little pill in the palm of his hand. Now, you take that, my lad, and that will cure you in 5 minutes. Which, of course, I did.
And he rolled it up his old fingernails there. Gave it to old Fred, cured him. And Fred asked him what recipe was for this pill that cured him so immediately. Like, you know. Firstly, I was not involved in... Always said, tell you what, Fred, yeah, he said, I feel a lot better. What was that old pill?
And as soon as I'd swallowed the said pill, Mr. Hancock was in fits once more. He said it was a piece of his bread pudding which he had for half after his meal rolled in on his journey back to work. So, of course, the reaction with me, needless to say, having swallowed the pill.